Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game tape.
Donuts.
If you want a battle, it's either that you will or you won't.
You know, you're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Hey, man!
More Stories podcast. Orny Adams, the man who I actually didn't have a hard time following, could not follow you at the Melrose Improv 1 month ago, almost to the day. Do you remember that benefit for the Jewish, like, what was it? What was the actual benefit?
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
I don't. But
you really don't know what it was for?
No, I don't.
It was Jewish, basically for like Jewish elderly, giving them like care clothing and like making sure they're not like shut in and or injured.
It was a great cause.
The Guardians.
Yeah.
And Greg Fitzsimmons went up. Flip Schultz emceed. I came in right when Fitzsimmons like was 5 minutes in, and he like annihilated. And then I was like, wow, I haven't seen Greg do stand-up in so long. And then you went on, and I've seen you do like 3 minutes 18 years ago. And then you went on and killed so hard that you got a standing ovation. Then Flip went back up, and right when you walked off stage, everybody walked off stage to go to like the bathroom, like, woof, like, man, that shit was crazy. Like, let's go outside for a second. And then when I got introduced, there wasn't any applause. Like it was just like the show. It was like an overtime.
They're
like
racist.
It was just like...
It's racism.
Are you Jewish?
Yeah, I am Jewish, so it's not fair.
Well, Fitzsimmons, they would have booed off the stage. He's as Catholic as they come.
With the shaved head.
Yeah. And like, I mean, and it was weird because like you and Greg both did like relationship kids. Greg did a lot of like his wife and how he loves his wife and like kids making him nuts. And that's like my wheelhouse. And he killed so hard, I had to take that off the plate. And then you were doing like relationship stuff. And then I realized, like, well, I should just like spin plates because everything's been covered. Like,
You did great.
No, I did not.
No, I watched it.
Trust me, it was you. I'm
going to tell you.
Take the compliment. I could not. It was crazy how hard you killed. Or at Orny Adams. Is there an E in Orny?
No.
ORNY Adams on Twitter at Orny Adams. It was and the closing bit with the goddamn Christmas tree lights.
Yeah.
Fucking like I was going this, and you like acted out, and half the time you're not even speaking into the mic, like you're just holding the mic at your side because like you're either you've been doing it long enough. It's that faux passion, like I'm so fucking into this, I don't even know I'm not holding the mic next to my mouth, and it was crazy how hard you killed. And then I went up, didn't even applaud. Like when I got to the step of the stage, it was quiet, and I went right into like, I'm not Jewish, but you were there. Like I talked about getting circumcised. That's when I tapped out.
I missed the first minute or two, but I walked in. You were doing great. You really were.
Comparatively, it was night and day, and it was amazing. And I always say in stand-up and in acting, but mostly in stand-up, it's nice to know when you're being lapped on the racetrack. And that was one of those nights where I'm like, you should have a little more in your arsenal. Because this is, and then like I'm like, what am I going to do? Tracy Morgan for Jewish doctors?
It's so weird because I don't know how to take a compliment because I feel so beaten down by this business. So it's I thank you. That does mean a lot to me.
Why do you feel so beaten down? Like you've had specials. You've had 2 specials, right? Mm-hmm. Path of Most Resistance.
Yeah. Definitely not the least.
And is that your own doing? Are you a guy like? Do you think you get in your own way? And I don't know the answer to this. I'm really asking you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what is it? Where does that all come from? Are you a self-saboteur?
No, I'm not a self-saboteur. It's more I'm unaware and definitely socially awkward. Like I'm just not. The reason I don't hang out with comics a lot is it's a fear that I'm going to say the wrong thing and that I don't fit. I've never fit in. So, my idol is like Bob Dylan, and here's a guy who sort of just did his thing and was to himself and was able to say what he wanted to say and create this persona, which is what I wanted to do, and he got away with it. I didn't get away with it, and really overly confident to a point that probably, you know, if I were an outsider looking at me, I wouldn't have liked myself. So
you're overly confident.
At that years ago.
Well, because that comes up on this podcast all the time, because I'm always super confident, alpha male, and I don't wake up like going, I fucking suck like most comics. And my wife always says I'm an actor who figured out how to do comedy, and I always figure
the best part of this podcast, by the way, is that you can hear people rolling their trash out.
People dig it. You want to hear
next door?
You want to hear the best version?
Those are the old jokes.
My wife just said those are the old jokes being rolled out.
It's not going to keep going.
We did it in the once I did a psychic medium in the green room, and then we'll get back to because I think we're the only two comics that are confident.
Is that what you think?
Yeah, and people don't like you when you're confident.
No,
There's
they don't.
something about that confidence that makes people just inherently think you're a dick, and I've lived with it my whole life.
I've always liked your confidence. I've always liked the guy.
I never liked yours. You always rubbed me the wrong way.
I can see that.
I'm kidding. I had to go the other way.
I've always liked the guy that points to right field and then knocks it out of the park. I always admired Muhammad Ali. What I didn't realize in this business is you need the support of the community. You need the support of other comedians. You need the support of the audience and people to really genuinely like you. And I think that I have the capacity to rub people the wrong way. Now,
you put, real quick, you put the audience and the comedians in the same community. You said you need the support of the community. You need the support of the comics. You need the support of the audience. So do you really need the support of both? Because only one of those are buying tickets.
Yeah,
comedy club owners don't give a shit if other comics like you.
Well, that's not true. The comedians can push you forward. They can put you on their shows. They can drop your names. They can get you work at other clubs. I've been banned by comedians at clubs. I mean, it's like, it's pretty shitty. But you're confident.
That's the loudest garbage can we've ever had, by the way. In 3 years of doing a podcast. Yeah. That sounds like they're rolling up my driveway.
I'm thinking, at what point do they shut the door to the garage?
It doesn't get shut.
Yeah. We fight through it.
We're talking about. And then I'll tell you about the weirdest ambient noise story from the podcast that ever happened.
But I liked, you're a guy that, when I saw you in Jerry Maguire, I just had such respect for you, that character, and that's the Jay I first met in the back of the Laugh Factory, was this guy who was hugely confident, and I liked it because it's you. Are you supposed to sit there with fake humility? It was you. So when you said some really kind words to me when I walked off stage at the Improv, that when you said it to me, I was like, well, what does? I think he was talking about my set. I don't know if he was talking about my. You know what I mean? Like.
Well, I was pretty direct. Let me sit closer so we get this on the YouTube channel. You killed, and I just told you it was amazing. Look, there's killing, and then there's other level. If that set had been on Letterman, they'd go back to development deals. It was one of the craziest sets I'd ever seen, and it was 20 minutes. And it was a charity, and it was Jewish doctors, and it was kind of weird. People trying to hook up in the back. It was the weirdest mishmash audience of all time.
And all men. It was all men.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that until I was. How about this? I didn't realize the audience until I was on stage, because Fitzsimmons and you back to back. I was having the best time. It's how rare is it that a comic sits in the back and actually go you're at a show. That's how much fun I had. It was good.
Yeah, that's why when you said that to me, it was so loaded. I was like, wow, that's really cool, because you're a guy who I've always admired, and I know you wouldn't give it up unless you really meant it. And so I was it was mind blowing. Wow.
Well, thank you very much. I'm a firm believer of positive reinforcement, and I don't. No one's ever said a negative thing about a comic on this podcast, and I won't. I just won't let it fly. I hate it. it. And it goes on another podcast where they go round and round, and they throw people under the bus, and this guy gets accused of that and this shit. And it's just why don't comics retweet each other's dates? We're never in the same town, ever.
Well, I saw your tweet today, by the way, so thank you. It meant a lot to me.
Retweeting your dates at...
No, you didn't know what you were...
I don't know what you're talking
Do you
about.
run your Twitter?
Yeah.
Somebody asked you about...
Orny Adams.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I did a Q&A before work, and they said, who's the comedian that makes... Wow, I thought you were attentive.
I live on Twitter. It's my...
They said, which comedian makes you laugh the hardest right now? And I said, at Orny Adams. That's the last set I saw where I went like... Before that, I would have said Brian Regan. Like, it's so rare. But people also don't realize, like, when you're a comic, when you're a headliner, you don't ever see comedy because you are the show.
Right.
As the song goes by I'm the Show by Kings of Leon. McFearless. We'll put that on the end. But you are the show. So you're never really watching another show of this. Like the Black Crowes are never sitting in the back of the room watching Arcade Fire or vice versa.
Right.
So, no, I dug it. And, yeah, somebody asked me on Twitter who makes me the laugh last, like, comic that made me laugh the hardest, and it was you. Jim Brewer's made me laugh the longest over the long haul. Like, it's like by a fucking country mile.
Yeah.
Not even close. In the weirdest ways. He lived on my couch for, like, when he came to L.A. But going back to what we were talking about, your set was crazy, great, and it was amazing. And it was thrilling to go like, wow, this is perfectly great. It's good. Comedy's fine. Because there's a lot of people out there that they become famous because the New York Times like follows them around Brooklyn for 2 weeks, and they tell you like, keep your eyes open, or like Vanity Fair, watch out for Tina Fey. She's on. You're like, Tina Fey? Like, where the fuck are you, Vanity? Like, really?
Yeah.
First of all, not a stand-up. Nothing against Tina Fey, but when they do those like comics to watch,
Yeah.
like 4 of them are not comics.
Right.
It's always just like Bill Murray's not a comic.
No, I think
He's like one of the best comics of all time. Like, no, actually, Chris Farley's not a comic. So, like, he is one of the greatest.
No, I think I unsubscribed Rolling Stone. Because their font got too small, but also
You are Jewish.
Yeah, their goddamn lists. Those lists all the time.
I like that it always says of all time, and it's like, well, it's 2014. For all we know, we have 1 million more years to live.
Right.
So I don't know how it could be of all time if we're only like 1,000 years into existence.
Yeah, but I thought it was so super cool.
Don't tweet me whatever fucking how long we've been on Earth. Actually, JJ, it's 6,000 according to the.
I think it's like 350,000. I used to know it. It's in a bit of mine.
When I converted, I was a Presbyterian. I grew up. I converted to Catholicism, not because of my wife, because I had a bunch of shit happen to me that's been on other podcasts. And in RCIA class, one of the teachers of the conversion class said, look at how huge, it was like in this big like classroom. He goes, it was at night, it was on Tuesday nights, it was cool. You go to a church like to learn the Bible, and like so anybody like gets in a Bible argument with you, like it was like right in your holster. Like actually that's not how it goes. It goes like this. It was people want to Bible thump you, you go, easy there, pal. He said, the length of this room is how long Earth has been here. The layer of paint on the wall is how long man has been here.
Yeah.
And that shit blew my mind. It has nothing to do with what we were talking about, but
No, it does.
we were talking about how long man has been alive. Let me
Paint.
tell you,
The thickness of paint.
the paint
You
on
don't
your
need
wall.
years. So when people tweet you years,
you go, yeah, man,
that's about the thickness of paint.
2 layers of paint. That's
Yeah.
how long we've been here.
Yeah.
As long as the room you're in, that's how long Earth's been here. And then 99% of all creatures have already been extinct.
Uh-huh.
As George Carlin said, let them go gracefully. Save the whales. Save that snail. Here's what I wanted to tell you about ambient noise, because we heard the fucking, whoever the neighbor is that decided to bring up 44 trash cans up the driveway that apparently is on top of mine and invisible. I had a psychic medium on, Bill Phillips, and he's the real deal. Like, he's really cool. And I was very skeptical. And it was me, it was Ryan Sickler, and this kid Andrew used to record the podcast. And we were in the green room with the Irvine Improv. And the guy just kind of scribbles on a piece of paper, and he just kind of looks up. And he described it like it's a ceiling fan. And then every once in a while, like if you blink the right way, you can see a ceiling fan like sort of still. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And he said he just kind of looks up, and they come through, the dead, they kind of come through with messages through like the
Ceiling
blinking.
fans?
No, like it's like kind of it's like you have to time it right, and the messages come through, they get scattered.
Huh.
I'm not doing a good job explaining it. Have you ever looked at a ceiling fan and blinked, and then every once in a while you'll catch it where it kind of doesn't look like it's really moving that much?
Not sober. This sounds like
the analogy has
am I lying on my back?
Here's the amazing thing about why I suck. The analogy has nothing to do with the story.
What's the noise?
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I speak. And people go, he's fucking alpha. He's got to chill out. So the guy nailed a lot of stuff. He's talking to Ryan Sickler, and he goes, "Why are you so obsessed with the number 1111?" And Ryan Sickler goes, like that." The day before Ryan Sickler flew back from Baltimore, he went to his grandmother's old house and took the 1111 off of her house because that's the house he grew up. Like, he nailed a bunch of stuff. He was off on a lot of stuff. He still thinks I'm going to Australia to live.
Yeah.
He's way off.
Right.
And he was like, "No, you're going." I'm like, "No, I'm not." Some guy emailed me at jmohr.com, and he said he was like super fucking baked listening to that episode. And Bill Phillips, the medium, described there's a long line of people because there's so many people in the green room. There's so many people trying to get messages through, and whoever's the most aggressive, they're the ones that get the medium the message. But as we were between the 7 and 9 o'clock show on a Saturday, so the room's filling up while we're in the green room. So in the background, you can just hear like people like, "Hey!" on like clap, like "Are you guys all right?" And some guy emailed me and said I was so high listening to that on like Beats by Dre headphones, and he thought it was all the dead people lined up, and he thought he was so like, "Wow, this medium's amazing! Like I can hear the dead people."
Is the medium selling more tickets than you are? He's got a line of people outside of the green room.
Dead people.
Yeah, it's more
No, it was my show.
Yeah, it's your show. But
no, I did the shows. He just came to do the podcast.
No, I get that, but I'm saying
Oh.
it sounds like he's got people lined up. This is a pretty.
He was good.
Most mediums, they just want to talk to one person. Maybe one. This guy's got people lined up.
It got tough because the more, and what Bill Phillips and anybody, he's in Orange County, and you can call, he's whatever you want. I will tell you straight up, I was sat in a room with a guy, not a charlatan. It was weird shit was going down, and I'd be the first guy to call bullshit. It'd be a much more interesting podcast if I were like, "You're wrong, dude.
Right.
What a dick."
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really weird. And he said because of so many people filling up the comedy club, it got harder and harder to direct to me and Ryan Sickler because it was just like everybody just brought all their fucking baggage into the room, and it was like crowding up his shit.
Wow.
It was really weird.
Wow.
Do you believe in that stuff at all?
Yeah, I believe in energies. Absolutely.
I believe in energies too.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. I think I had at one point there was a ghost in a place that I was living. I really believe it because everything would be shut, and then all of a sudden the shades would just start rattling as if there was a wind, but there wasn't a wind. And
Where was it? New York, L.A.?
It was Los Angeles. But it wasn't like a scary, like it was weird things like I would come home and the soap would be out of the soap dish. Now, why would the soap ever be out of the soap dish?
You
I
said
live
something.
alone.
The reason I knew mine were real is because it wasn't scary.
Yeah, mine wasn't scary either.
And that was my logic breaker. Like, because I wasn't like spooking myself out, I went, "Oh, it's like a real thing because I'm not scared. It's just an actual factual thing that happened."
Yeah.
So it's interesting you said it wasn't scary.
No, and sometimes, I'd like lay in my bed and you'd hear like almost like a soft whisper, be like, "Jay Mohr's moving to Australia.
You're a
He
douche.
just doesn't know it yet."
I did I was in Montreal in a hotel that was an old converted convent, and they made it into, it was an old Montreal, it was a hotel room, and to the left of my bed was where I guess a closet was supposed to be, but it was just a brick wall, and there was like an indent of like 2 feet and like a giant half circle. So it was like, I guess, I don't know what the fuck it was, but it was like, I could touch the entryway with my fingertips, but there was no door. It was just a push in of a brick wall. Does that imagery?
Yeah.
Okay. And I would lay in my bed, and I just heard in French like, and like a woman frantically like whispering to.
Oh, that would freak me out.
It would, but it was like right when I was drifting off, and when I was filming something, like I had to get. And I remember in French, I said, "Shut the fuck up!" I went, "I ta gueule, ta gueule," and the fucker went, "Mon petit." It fucking stopped. That night, woke up, my television was on fire.
Wow.
Hand to God.
Wow.
My fucking TV was on fire.
Had the TV been on?
No, I left candles lit and I was fine.
Oh, okay.
It's true, though.
I'll tell you a true story, and it's not meant
Let me
to
tell you this real quick. Will you remember what you're going to tell me?
Well, I may not go into it now. We'll go into something else.
No, I want you to tell me this.
Yeah.
But I just want to tell you about the Amazon banner at jmohr.com. If you're going to shop at Amazon, don't go to Amazon, Orny Adams, at Orny Adams, no E in Orny. Orny Adams. Go to jmohr.com, click the Amazon banner. Amazon just wants to know that you got there through my website. And look at Kelly Lowry. JJ, just wanted you to know. And if you email me what you bought, I'll read it on the podcast and make you famous for your friends. Kelly Lowry, JJ wanted to let you know that I just went through the Amazon banner at jmohr.com to buy my wife her Christmas present. Woohoo! I added the woohoo. Between J Mohr Sports and More Stories, I listen to you every day, except Sunday. That day belongs to the Lord. You give us laughter every day. That doesn't cost us anything. The absolute least that I could do is go through the banner for this purchase. Thanks for all you do. I know that more than a job to you, it shows. I couldn't believe you'd invite a nobody. Kelly, actually. Okay, I'll explain this to you later. I couldn't believe you'd invite a nobody like me to Uncle Dan's bachelor party, and for you to put the effort in to stay connected since the shows. That shows what kind of guy you are. You got a fan for life. Looking forward to stocking up on back episodes and more stories for my upcoming trips to Haiti and Cambodia. Make waves, Kelly Lowry. Kelly Lowry is a good dude. He goes to he's a local guy, but he goes to Haiti and Cambodia, and he really tries to do good stuff. My Uncle Dan was on the podcast, and he was getting married, and I said, if anybody listening wants to go to his bachelor party, I'll get a room at the DoubleTree in Santa Monica, but here are the rules. No broads. I don't want any hoochie mama shit.
Yeah.
Don't get fucked up. You can drink, but we're not into drugs. We don't want tits and stuff, but you got to bring some type of weird gift, and you have to hand Uncle Dan $20 the moment you walk in. Uncle Dan walked with $180, and some guy brought him an Iraqi $20 bill because he was a Marine.
Oh, that's cool.
And Kelly Lowry brought him shit from Haiti. It was fun. So we had 20 listeners at my uncle's bachelor party.
That's
Complete
cool.
strangers. And
they all slept in the same room, or did you?
No, everybody just kind of broke up and went home after a while. And I said, if you guys want to give me a credit card, I'll take my credit card off. If you guys want the room, and you guys could just stay for the night.
Oh, I thought you. Oh, I thought you had gotten them a room. I thought you.
Oh no, I'm not crazy. Wow. I got a room with my Hilton Honors points.
Inviting 9 strangers to bring $20 for your uncle.
Yeah,
not crazy.
No,
the cutoff is
if you buy them each a room.
If you buy a room,
yeah, because then I'm going into my pocket.
Right. Well, I thought maybe one room for all.
The whole point is for Uncle Dan to walk down the aisle with some shekels in his pocket.
Doesn't Amazon have a suite over there at the DoubleTree?
It's it's actually the jmohr.com Amazon banner suite.
Yeah.
Orny Adams. What did you want to tell me that I told you to remember, and now you probably
I totally forgot.
I fucked it up.
Totally forgot. It's cool.
Why are you in Germany?
We were doing a Teen Wolf convention.
No, that's not true.
It is true.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you're the principal on Teen Wolf.
I'm the coach and economics teacher. Yeah.
Excuse me. And my wife had the best joke before we started rolling, and it went over your head. I said he's in Teen Wolf, and she said, "What's that about?" And you went, "I don't know. I don't even watch the show." And I was like, "Wow, how did you?"
I was confused why she was so funny. It was throwing me off. It was.
It's pretty girl syndrome.
Yeah, I don't know.
We'll be at parties and she'll say something and nobody laughs, and then I'll repeat exactly what she just said, and everybody goes, "Ah!" And I look at her, and I'm like, "Wow, you're right." She's funnier than all of us.
She left because I stopped laughing at her jokes.
No, she left because we had to record a podcast.
Oh, okay.
And then if she's off mic, people get all bent out of shape.
Yeah.
When she's on mic, everybody gets
laugh.
They get filled with delight.
Yeah, I didn't know where. Again, that comes back to the social awkwardness. I didn't know where to put my attention. This is Jay's time. I'm going to be focused on Jay.
Right. And there's a redhead with a see-through T-shirt with no bra.
You noticed that?
She's a unicorn, for fuck's sake. Remember in Three's Company, the little redhead down at the Regal Beagle? Jack Tripper used to always say that.
You got to go back and watch the beginning of Three's Company when Jack falls off the bike. It had to have been one take. It is so bad. There's no way there's a worse take than when Jack Tripper falls off. He sort of stops and then.
But he makes that great face on the way over.
It's a cut.
Remember, he would always go,
"Come on, knock on my door."
He would say, "I'm going to go down." There's a little redhead down at the Regal Beagle. Remember, he always used to say,
Yeah.
My wife at 4 years old decided, this is not a joke, at 4 years old, she decided to go into show business because she's like, I have red hair. I'm in love with John Ritter. I should get into show business. That's how I will meet him.
She just told me she went in because of somebody else. She fell in love with somebody else. And that's the guy I'm going to marry.
Steve Martin?
Yeah, Steve Martin.
Yeah, she was always in love with Steve Martin.
She's taken possession of a lot of comedians, a lot of funny people.
Yeah, she doesn't fuck comics. She gets engaged to them or marries them.
Yeah,
she chewed up some miles, some real estate with those road gigs.
Do you discuss that at all? Do you who?
Well, it's just what she was engaged to Bob for 7 years. So, yeah, I mean, it's like when you're 22, 23, 24 years old, it's like there's really nothing. That's kind of the part of your life you talk about the most.
Yeah.
And he's a great director and just, yeah. I mean, as opposed to like, don't bring that name up in this house.
No, I like when I date girls, I don't want to hear about their past. I can't know anything. I'm very bizarre like that. I like to.
No, I don't think that's bizarre. I think it's like also, you know, when you're with somebody 7 years, like she was with Bob for 7 years and they were engaged, like I would be an asshole to not appreciate like how much time these people had vested. Like it was a real living like tree that was planted and grew, and then he walked out on her and fucking cut it down. But the fact remains that it was a real like. So it'd be weird to go like, don't talk about a decade of your life.
Right.
It's not like some guy she fucked.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Like one time I met Ron Artest. No. I don't want to know.
I hold it against the women. I'm probably, you know.
Your body you hold against them?
No.
Yeah, female body inspector. Hey, listen to these commercials real quick. There's something for everybody at Teleflora.com when you send festive flowers from Teleflora's exclusive homemade for the holidays collection. For the cook in your life, there's Teleflora's Holidays centerpiece. The vase doubles as a festive serving bowl. We can all use that. For your favorite baker, send Teleflora's gingerbread cookie jar bouquet, a perfect way to house holiday cookies. And for the merry maker, Teleflora's Merry Mug Bouquet has a mug with matching spoon, perfect for cocoa. For you, there's $15 off when you use the coupon code MOHR, M-O-H-R, at teleflora.com. T-E-L-E, Flora, F-L-O-R-A, teleflora.com. Be sure and enter Teleflora's homemade for the holiday sweepstakes to win a trip to New York City and meet the cake boss, Buddy Valastro, or hundreds of other great prizes. Beautiful, fresh holiday bouquets, always hand-arranged, always hand-delivered. There's something for everybody now at teleflora.com. Coupon code MOHR. Well, you hold against the women when they share with you like past relationships?
Yeah, I have this like innocent girl fantasy, which becomes less and less realistic as you get older because, you know, I have to date women that are closer to my age. And now, you know, there's just the innocence is gone. So that fantasy's out the goddamn window.
But why can't it be a fantasy? Why can't you?
Because they don't shut up. What are you not understanding, Jay? Jay, let me explain to you how the conversation goes. This is how it goes. Ready? Have you ever dated an Asian woman? And I go, before I answer this, I don't want to hear, you know. And then I go, yes, I have. What? Too? It's just like, shut up.
Easy, Gottfried. Jesus Christ. You startled me when you yelled the first time. You startled me.
This is a good time for a commercial.
My wife came in.
She came back.
What's all the yelling about? Orny said, do I mind? Because I said you were engaged. You know, you put a lot of time in with comics, you know. And he said, does that bother you, like, if it comes up? I said, no, because you and Bob were together 7 years. It'd be like you have to be like an asshole to go, I don't want to hear about that decade. And I said, you guys were together so long.
By the way, 10 years is a decade.
No, I know. I'm rounding up.
Okay.
I'm only.
I didn't want to stop you.
I know 10. I know.
He's on a roll.
I know 7 years, not a decade.
Like that scene in Animal House.
He's on a roll. What are we supposed to do, you moron? And I said to Orny, I said, you know, what they did for 7 years was like a real live tree that they planted and grew, and then he walked out and fucking cut the tree down. It doesn't mean it wasn't like a great time together. It did exist, in fact. But Orny...
I was saying I take issue with women's past. I like to think I'm the first.
Well, why can't you... And don't yell at me. Because as I went into this earlier, you screamed. Why can't...
I came out to defend my husband's honor.
Why can't you... Like my wife, obviously I'm not her first, you know, but you can still have sex with somebody and play the like, oh my gosh, how did... You're such like a...
No, I get that. I'm saying they don't.
Oh, you mean they won't like, yeah, I'm your first ever. One time I fucked this one guy?
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying they ruin it every time.
They ruin it every time.
That's why you scream they won't shut up.
Well, just to you. I wouldn't to them, but I'm saying secretly, I when they say it, I go, oh no, I think she just ruined it.
What, honey?
I think she just...
You're correct. That would be a foul thing to share with someone in a moment of intimacy.
Thank you.
Can you hear her?
I've done this so many times.
No, you haven't.
No, that would be a hideous thing.
No, I'm very good. Like sometimes I'm
they
actually...
tell you during sex about another partner? This is awful.
Yeah, I feel like maybe because I'm still dating women that I probably, that are younger than me, that I think this generation maybe shares more than they should. When I grew up, women sort of wanted to give the air, the mystique that they're perfect and, that but now everyone's making, there's so much going on in the room right now.
No,
I can't even speak.
There was some
there's charades.
What was it, love?
I was speaking with Corey. It's private.
Oh.
So again, I'm being ganged up on. So I don't know. What?
I'm looking at you all. I don't know what these two are doing. I'm seriously listening.
The guy with the trash cans. We might as well roll them over here
You're
and hit me in the
look,
head.
Look at me.
Yeah.
You're dating girls that are younger than you.
Yes.
I'm giving you my word. I'm with you right now.
This generation is more open about having sexual partners, whereas I think my generation, you were quieter about it. You didn't say how many people you'd been with or experiences, or you would.
You're talking about the women?
Yes, the women.
Okay, because guys were always like, guess what I did last night?
Of course. But would we do that to women, or would we?
No, well, now you can because you get fired. Like if you were on Mad Men, like Don Draper, you could say to your secretary, like,
But I'm saying, like on a date. I just don't understand. I think there's a lot of oversharing going on.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look at Twitter. Like we were just saying, you said you live on Twitter. You knew what I tweeted and remembered it, and I didn't even remember it. So obviously, there's something about that moth to the flame that you like. Otherwise, you wouldn't be so attuned to it, and that's probably why it bothers you. You
tweeting something is certainly different than a woman saying something that bothers me in that sense.
So you date girls that actually tell you about, like, one time I had sex with this guy and X, Y, or Z happened. Everybody agrees that that's a terrible thing, and you need to go maybe to different places to meet women, or I don't know.
Yeah.
What kind of women are you dating?
The kind that does.
When you're alone, do you tell yourself about your sexual past? Like if you're jerking off, do you tell yourself about all the things that you've been through?
In what sense? How do I?
The girls tell him.
I was being absurd. If you're alone, do you find yourself going, even I'm guilty of oversharing with yourself?
I would never say to a woman, like, this is not a unique experience. You want them to feel special.
No, most women are creepy now. Most young gals are creepy that way. I agree. They overshare, and also, just so you know, a lot of them are lying. They want to sound cool. They want to sound like they're like real world.
I don't think they are.
They're not. But they believe themselves to be.
Yeah. I also think that when the relationship is over, take the pictures off Facebook or whatever. Like sometimes you go on their page and it's like, oh, who are all these guys? Like
I know.
Your wife is snorting. This is my life.
She's snorting because she thinks you're funny.
Of course she does. That's what I'm saying to your audience.
I love it. Here's the thing, too. When she's right, women do overshare, but women also are. My wife says it to me all the time. They're all full of shit. Like girls that like fake make out at like the bar because they think, but like they just want free drinks. They're not. They're not going to go home and have a threesome with you.
Right.
Maybe you.
No.
With that fucking beautiful head of hair you got. Look at this patchwork quilt.
Patchwork quilt?
On my head. It's awful.
You're holding up great.
Charities that you've done. We did a Jewish LA Guardians. This is for elderly Jewish people.
How did you who called you? How does this come about?
Rita from the Improv called me.
Yeah.
And asked me to do it as a favor. And I said, because it's not.
I took money.
You don't want to ask for like a lot of money because it's a charity, and then it's like such low money, and then it's like Rita's so sweet at the Improv, so you're like, all right, it's one night, and plus it is actually a fantastic charity.
No, it's a great. But
people don't
cause.
realize that we actually do these charities. Sometimes you do charities. And they pay you a sum where you go, well, how do you make money for your charity if you're paying me this amount of money? Like, this is insane.
Right. I try not to question it.
Do you do, like, animal charities? Are you done with the animals?
Yes, I have.
Really?
I did one to save the elephant at the LA Zoo.
Oh, that you know what? That's a very interesting point, because I was about to go buck wild, as the kids used to say on MTV. About animal charities when there's so many like veterans that need like bipolar medication and like homeless men that need just a meal or a wage. And like the universal animal charity, like, let's get dogs and cats. I'm like, let's help the people first. But the fact that you had a charity for an elephant, that appeals to me deeply. I'm not joking.
Yeah,
let's save that fucking elephant right there.
Yeah.
Do you remember, did he have a name? Was it a she, he?
Yes. In fact, there are clips on the internet of me talking about saving. Might have been Ellie the elephant or something, like something cute.
Something unique.
Yeah. You know, Richard Pryor's wife, Jennifer, hooks me up with all these sort of animal charity. I got to be honest with you, I'm not that into animals, but... You know, I like this group of people.
I'm into my. I have 3 dogs.
Yeah.
On like Instagram, and I take photos. You saw my little dogs.
Yeah, adorable.
But like when people go like, "Hey," and I take a lot of shit for this, but you know what? The motto of the whole podcast is put your name on it. I don't like animal shelters. Like, hey man, like there's. I say this on stage. Next time you save one of Sarah McLachlan's cats, show it to a homeless veteran wearing a Karl Malone Lakers jersey. And let them know you're doing God's work.
Right.
Look, she doesn't itch anymore. She lays in the bed with me. Like, there's like, you can save the animals, but who's going to walk them? Like, let's get the. And people tweet me and go, they're not mutually exclusive and all that. But I like, when in doubt, go human.
Yeah.
But I like that you saved an elephant. Like, that's something I could totally get with.
Yeah. There's a focal point. There's one elephant that's being like, mistreated.
In the Sudan, there's Bengalese tigers. And you're like, what the? How do I know the money's going to fucking Bengal? Is that a country? Cincinnati Bengals. Wait, what?
I'll do as many benefits because this is the way I can give without, you know, in a way, giving money. You know, we use our skill. We have a skill set, so if we can help out, I'll certainly. But there are plenty of times I don't understand what charity I'm necessarily working for.
Yeah, I've done like Make-A-Wish, and those are amazing because like you go up and do like 20 minutes. It's black tie. It's G-rated. Everything goes fantastic, and they literally bring like a dying child. And standing ovation, and they're like, all right, now let's bring back our master of ceremonies, Jay Mohr. And you're like, wait, what? I got to go back? I had to follow Orny. That was hard enough. Oh, my God. My wife and I were in Las Vegas, okay? Garth Brooks had a charity we got invited to. We were dating like 2 months at this point. Like it was crazy. It's a charity to help children. But he named his charity Touch Them All.
Ooh.
Right?
Yeah.
Awful. But in Garth Brooks' mind, and bless his heart, him and Trisha Yearwood, they were doing like this. They raised tremendous amounts of money, but it was for abused children. And it was
No.
Yes, and it was supposed to be a baseball theme, like touch all the bases like home run. And it was called Touch 'Em All was a name. I'm going to go full the entire Garth Brooks story. Are you cool with that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, my vagina? Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, listen, we're at Touch 'Em All with Garth Brooks.
Which includes your wife's vagina, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do as we're told.
Yeah.
We start fooling around under the table, and I start.
What?
Yes, because it's like
at a charity for the
look at her
abused children.
You wouldn't.
Yeah.
Look at her. Look at her.
Get it.
Look at her.
You couldn't wait to go upstairs. You had to.
You're at a table with like Hall of Fame baseball players, and you're like, you have no idea what I'm doing because I'm talking to you. Like it's the whole game of like that craziness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
did she whisper, "I've done this before with others"?
I did.
Not the first charity.
I did this with Nomar Garciaparra when he was a rookie All-Star. She was thinking it. So I'm actually please don't.
No, now we're going to record. Now that it's getting funny, we missed my funny line.
It's been fantastic the whole time.
I didn't.
I'm under the table, right? Yeah. And it's going, and they bring out a kid with progeria. There's like
the aging.
It's a disease where you look like an 80-year-old man, but you're like a 6-7-year-old boy.
Sad,
and there's like one kid that kind of made the rounds for a while, like on Jerry Springer, Maury Povich, and Maury Povich like, you are beautiful. Like it was the one like famous. This sounds a sentence I never thought I would say. You know that one famous Norm Macdonald. No, I'm not wedging in an impression, but it is very Norm. You know that one famous that progeria guy, that one famous one, you know. But
that's like really good.
Oh my God, that's nice of Orny. But there was this one guy. He was real famous. He did like the circuit.
I got a great Norm story after this.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm doing things to I'm finger blasting my wife under the table.
Yeah, it's great.
And she's got.
It's for the kids.
She's her eyes are starting to roll back.
Yeah, of course.
She's about to go.
You know what you're doing.
She's very well. She's much better at it than I am.
Yeah.
And then the progeria kid comes out. And then Garth Brooks goes, let's hear it. They literally throw like a baseball to one another. And he goes, isn't that amazing? And he starts clapping. Yeah. And one table stands up, another table stands up. And I realize, and my wife now is like rocking back and forth, right? And I'm like, we're this close. And then our table stands up. We're the only people in this ballroom wearing gowns and tuxedos, not standing. So I actually have to like remove my hand and we stand up and we clap, and then we're in the elevator going back to the room, and it's just kind of quiet. We're tired. We've been on our feet all day in fancy shoes, and my wife goes, "That little fucker owes me an orgasm." Fucking little old man kid came out. Yeah, that little guy, you know. What's your Norm story? I love Norm.
We should wait until we start recording. Are we gonna? When do we start the podcast?
We really do. As Greg Proops would say, we really should get started.
We should start. Oh, is that his?
Is this the boring preaching part? Smartest Man in the World podcast. I highly recommend.
It actually, I thought of it because when you got a Christmas card from Tom Green.
Yeah.
So we were on the Byron Allen show. Me.
Lucky.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Tom Green. I think Mark Maron was on the panel, and
just to balance out the good vibes.
Yeah, man. So,
so it's you, Tom Green, Mark Maron,
and some other people. I can't remember who, but all I remember is it just like it had reached the point of where it always reaches, where there's just no segues, nothing's happening, and Tom Green stands up, and there's a shark tank, and he sticks his hand, he goes, I'm going to eat a shark, I'm going to eat a shark, and the producers come running, get your hand out of the tank, right? So Tom, dripping wet, runs out into the middle of the audience. Now, I'm supposed to tape this show, and then the next show. Okay.
2 Byron Allens back to back.
Oh, it was a good year.
Yeah.
It was a good year for Orny Adams. So now, Tom is in the audience, and he goes, this audience sucks. He goes, Orny, you do comedy clubs all the time. How much does this audience suck? They just suck. Right, Orny? And he's like, I'm in a corner, right? So now the audience starts like booing me. They hate me. It's, so they end the segment as quickly as they can. They get me and Tom out of there, right?
But you didn't do anything.
I don't think I did, except I think you could see through my face that I secretly believed Tom Green and that he was right. He was right. The show needed energy. Yeah. It was a great moment, and I would have rolled with it. I would have been like, but they have the audience there for 18 shows.
You said the audience is fine. This shark sucks.
Yeah, the host. I don't think it's the audience. I don't think you saw the monologue.
I'd rather watch the Magic Hour.
So the show ends. They get us out of it, and a producer pulls me aside and he goes, I just don't think you should do the next show. I've now been fired.
Oh, my God.
I got fired.
You didn't do anything.
I barely did anything. So I got fired. So
guilt by association.
Yeah. So they fired me from the Byron Allen show. So now I go upstairs to the green rooms, and Norm Macdonald is in there. And Norm. He's pretty honest. And he starts going off on Tom, because I was with Tom, on Byron. Just what is he? I can't even imagine. But he was going off, and all of a sudden the door opens and a PA comes in and shuts Norm's mic off. Right. So now it comes time to tape the show. They now have a writer's assistant in my spot where I was supposed to be. And I'm sitting in the green room, and I'm trying to... Robert Schimmel was there. This is how long ago it was. And I'm sort of watching, and Byron does a monologue, and he comes down, he asks somebody a question, and, they barely answer it. And then he goes, speaking of which, Norm, you're from Canada. No segue at all. You're from Canada. And this is when I wish I could do an impression like you. He goes, Norm, what are the winters like in Canada? And Norm goes, I have a question for you. Where's Orny Adams? Was so furious.
He's a genius, and every time this, like white headliners, when you go on the road, it's cyclical. So it's either like you're 2 weeks behind Kevin Nealon or 2 weeks ahead of Norm.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like for a year, I'm on the road, and I'd be at like Snoqualmie Casino in Seattle or something. They'd be like, Norm Macdonald was here 2 weeks ago, man. He was really high, man. Like, he was real fucked up. It was uncomfortable. And then I go to, like, Motor City, someplace in Detroit, and they'd be like, hey, Norm Macdonald was here. Is he gay? And I'd be like, no. They'd be like, he had like 5 like young guys with him all. It was really weird. Like, this shit went on Orny for like 7 months. And then you see his Comedy Central 1 hour, and it's like A++. You could not. A team of all the writers ever could not add anything to make that special funnier. It's perfect, right?
He's underrated, underappreciated.
Thank you. And you realize for a year he traveled the road and people wanted to hang out with him, and he just did everything he could to just keep people fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like, acted fucking high.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't get high.
Yeah. No.
He's like, all he worries about is like his own mortality. I come from a long line of death. Like, all he's worried about is his own mortality.
You ever hear his dad, the joke about his dad dying and he had a heart attack and he like fell out of bed having a heart attack, and then the doctor comes in and goes, well, he's in a better place. He goes, he's on the floor. He was in the bed a minute ago.
The greatest rewrite.
Something like that.
No, it's perfect.
Yeah, he's...
the greatest. You have to do the podcast again, because this is a lot. You have to be a regular, because this is way too much fun and you're way too easy to talk to. That's where you go. I'd love to.
No, I'd love to. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Of course.
You left me hanging. I'm like, what a dick.
No, I didn't know if we were doing another Amazon commercial.
No, I'll bring Henry Rollins back if I want people to act like they kind of don't like me the whole time.
Oh, is that what he...
He apologized for kind of snubbing me at a movie premiere.
Oh, really?
And then I made jokes, and he just... Nothing. And at one point I go, you're not going to laugh at anything I say. And he goes, no. And then it was okay. He was in on it.
I got to tell you a wild Jay Mohr story.
Oh, boy.
But it's interesting because you were an example of a guy that I saw as very successful. So the first, like, after Jerry Maguire, I used to always say in my head, like, I'd go to Bloomingdale's and I'd go to buy, Calvin Klein. And I'd think, Jay Mohr could buy 10 of these. Like, that would always run through my head.
That's like the sweetest thing. I was like, in your head like that?
Yeah. Every time and I'm wearing Calvin's now, I think of you with Calvin Klein underwear. It's the weirdest association. But it was like one of those things that I couldn't afford at the time. And I thought, Jay Mohr could afford. Jay Mohr, like, I do this,
that's my wife's like, it's the sweetest thing I've ever heard.
Than anything I've ever told them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should I worry?
No. I do this with every guy on a podcast.
He just got done telling.
No, but that's why, like, when you came up to me and you said those words, it had such weight because you were a guy that I always looked up to.
But why don't more people tell each other when they're doing a good job around
Because
here?
we're insecure. We're insecure.
You just said you have confidence.
But I'm saying,
you're socially awkward.
Well, I'm saying that I would have done myself a service early on in my career if in New York City I watched more comedians and I found something positive to say. Instead, I was so focused, and I still am sort of on what I do, that I have to, like, I watched you on stage and you were doing a great job. Your impressions were great. You're a professional. It's not, you've reached a point in your career, you understand, it's not about the level of laughs. There are assholes out there getting huge laughs that aren't funny. You know what I mean? Yeah. You were doing great. So, and I'm saying that, I mean it. I'm not being
I believe you.
Full of shit. But I could have early on made more friends. You know, growth for me was going up to you and saying, I'd like to do your podcast. I wouldn't have done that 2 years ago.
I always
3 years
instinctively just thought you didn't like me for some reason.
No, see, that's what the vibe I give off.
But that's the vibe I give off, that people think I'm a dick, and all I ever try to do is help comics.
Yeah,
so you and I are, it's interesting. My wife, the joke writer, because people don't believe, here we go. As a comedian / interviewer, Byron Allen is an amazing dresser. This just got handed to me. And she would give her left nut to work with Norm Macdonald again. She was on the Norm show. He hired her and wrote her in as a prostitute only because every week he wanted to be able to say on network television, dirty, dirty whore. Hey, here's that dirty whore. Here's my Norm story.
That's like one of your best impressions.
It's a good one, but I get stuck in it. Like, if I start doing it on stage, because the good thing about a Norm impression is the pauses and the awkwardness that he can do on stage.
Him and Kevin Nealon. The pauses, Kevin. I mean, Kevin is great.
Yeah, Colin to me is like the all-time dog whistle of stand-up comedy.
What do you mean by dog whistle?
It's not a rhythm that we're all used to. It's a completely separate, like, we all go up and it's kind of the same, like a studio audience at a sitcom. You could literally go up and go, paper file, clip, chair, cock, box, Christmas tree, lights, and then just stand there and they'll go, because it just sets the rhythm that we're all accustomed to since the 50s. And with stand-up comedy, there's like, so my wife says, and I'm like, and she says, well, then why do you do that in the first place? And you kind of like, there's guys that kind of teach themselves stand-up and they're not really comics. And you know what I'm talking about? I won't say their names.
Well, we
like,
don't have enough time to mention all of them.
Whereas Colin, very well put. Whereas like Colin just does like he'll just talk about. He'll just do a eulogy on stage.
And by the way, go ahead, because I'm going to get in trouble for that last comment. I put in there people in commercials. There's too many people trying to be funny that aren't. They're imitating people. But go ahead with your column.
No, we covered that earlier when I said when they go like, Bill Murray, one of the greatest comics of all time. You're like, no, Tina Fey's not a comic.
Yeah.
And, whatever. So dog whistle meaning it's just a different tune where a lot of audiences. Tom Green you brought up earlier, and I said this to Tom Green. Like, there's a lot of comics like Colin, Tom Green, Norm, where you have to bomb for probably 12 years until you can fill a room of 600 people with the people that are only there because you hit that fucking button in the middle of them.
Yeah.
Like Norm starting out, like there's a lot of people like, this is kind of weird. Like, hey, I know those little wiener dogs? Wiener dogs over and over again, yeah? Hey, I have a friend, one of those wiener dogs, yeah? Yeah, you know those wiener dogs, you know?
Your face is perfect.
But like you do that, there's some people that are like, I don't know why everybody's laughing. And then like guys like you and me are like, this is the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Well, what I loved about Norm is there's
hey, I had a question. Where's Orny Adams?
That's exactly.
Hey, where is that Orny Adams guy, you know?
That is an amazing impression. I mean,
and I don't ever want Norm to think I'm making fun of him, and he is a dream guest for this podcast at Norm Macdonald. Fucking hit him up, get him in here for crying out loud.
I'll even drive him out here. He doesn't like to drive, but I'll bring him
I can't drive, you know. I'll tell you why I can't drive, Orny Adams. You know what is the main reason there? The traffic. It's terrible, yeah. There's no joke there, you know. I just like the word traffic. It almost seems like Norm gets like echolalia, and he just loves certain words. We were just watching. My wife and I were watching Russell Brand on his live Norm Macdonald's live podcast, and he just said the word "sow" for a pig, and Russell Brand just keeps talking. He goes, "A sow, sow." He's like, "Yes, Norm, it's a sow." Sow, sow. And he just got echolalia, and he like loved it.
Yeah.
The greatest rewrite in the history, and I've probably told the story before, but since you're here, I have to tell it to your face. On Saturday Night Live, it's a writer's rewrite night on Thursdays, which is the most meaningless night in the world, because you take like a sketch like, I don't know, Coffee Talk, written by Mike Myers, which is going to be written the way ever he's a star, however he wants it. And it's perfect when he hands it in, and you got 18 guys that didn't write it trying to fix it because Mike's not there. It's fucking, guys are arguing over what to name a middle school for literally half hours, and they all went to Harvard. Like, they're going, what about Central? Sounds too urban. What about, okay, fuck it, high school high, too jokey.
Oh, I couldn't take it.
Well, I couldn't either. I had fucking panic attacks and wanted to jump out a window. Anyway, so there was a sketch where Fred Wolf and Tim Herlihy wrote it with Spade, where Spade's a weight loss guru, and it's basically you just get everybody to smoke crystal meth, and you just see their body shrink like in like 8 days, like not 8 months. And there's a voiceover like ride the snake, like just all trippy, and you just smoke crystal meth, you lose weight. And there's a thing of Farley ordering at a drive-thru window, and he goes, "I'd like 18 cheeseburgers, 18 hamburgers, 18 chicken sandwiches, 22 French fries, 14 Cokes, and 5 apple pies." And the lady at the drive-thru window says, "Will that be all?" And he goes, "No, I'd also like," and the part of the sketch that's inconsequential was he added something to the order. And for, when I say 2 hours,
oh boy,
I'm telling you, for 2 hours, these Harvard graduates, and Ian Maxstone Graham was from Brown, and they used to tease him because he was from Brown, not Harvard, argued over what the second part of the order should be. 2 hours. And I'm sitting there like having a fucking panic attack. Like I'm actually panicking. Fight or flight. How about he says the exact same order over again? How about he does it? Keeps going on. Will that be all? And he should say no and just add like and a Diet Coke. No, that's too jokey. Will that be all? Then he goes, no. And then he should say add like one, like the exact same order again, but add one thing. This shit went on for 2 hours. And then Norm goes, I got an idea, And we didn't even know he was in the room. He's got an unlit cigarette in his hand. He goes, hey, Chris goes to the drive-thru window there, and goes, take, I think you guys have hey, I'll have 18 hamburgers, 18 cheeseburgers, 44 French fries. He just did the order verbatim. He goes, and 6 Coca-Colas, and 9 apple pies. And then the gal in the window there, she'll say, will that be all? And Chris says, yes. One syllable. The greatest rewrite in the history of show business. There was a pause, and then we almost rolled out the windows laughing. That's what made your curtains vibrate in your apartment that was haunted. And then when they shot it, Chris is at the drive-thru window, and the voice goes, will that be all? And only Farley, like with this complete satisfied, goes, yes. Like he has self-control.
Yeah.
And we were going the other way for 2 hours, and Norm goes, but he says, yes.
Why does Norm command such confidence? Or why does he such respect from the audience? There's something about him that we hang on every syllable. Other people couldn't get away with that.
Well, I think that goes back to what I was talking to Tom Green and what I was just saying to you about is you have to be willing to be so brave in those pauses where you don't just go, fuck it, I got to do something that kills because this ain't working. Like you got to, this is my opinion because I didn't see Norm when he was coming up, but like Tom Green did. And like Tom ate it for like 11 minutes in a row, and then he would walk the room. Mm-hmm. But then now when Tom Green does stand-up comedy, it's filled with people that are completely on. They know exactly what's happening. Right. That's his crew. And like if you go see Colin Quinn, you are so in on it. You are so there. Like Colin doesn't like go up and kill. Like you have to be you have to get it, quote unquote, get it. And I think you have to be brave, going back to what you said about Norm. You have to be able to just stand in the pocket with fucking incoming fire and not just go, I'm just going to do walking. This is crazy. And just, that's what I think. I think it's years of staying true. And then when you break on through to the other side, in the case of like Norm, you just attract, only people that think you're hilarious. But you know what? I'm confused because Norm's always, first of all, he's gorgeous, like 1950s movie star good looking. And people right now are like, Norm? I'm like, yeah, Norm. Go look at a picture of Norm Macdonald. He should be like a movie star. So I don't think he ever really had to fight for the pauses. So my answer is I don't know. But there's something about him that is like a magnet, right?
Well, there are certain people like Philip Seymour Hoffman that like you can just stare at for like a minute. You're just waiting for what comes next. There's something that draws you in, and I think that Norm has that. Like,
absolutely.
I think like you're always sort of intrigued. Like there's this smirk that beautiful blue eyes.
Yeah, I do. Right. You were in Germany really to do Teen Wolf?
Yeah. We do these conventions now all over the world. I have
Germans love Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
See, I can't
We're
stop.
going all.
Did you like Germany?
I found their sense of humor limited at times. I think that they may have killed the 6 million people that had senses of humor, and
it's a tough hustle, the Germans. That's a tough thing to crawl out from under.
You know what?
Like I got mad when South Africa got the World Cup.
Because of apartheid?
Yeah, but it had been like 28 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, you can't refill that fucking pool that quickly. This is like,
No,
I
think that when this generation of Germans, they don't associate. They feel so distant from the Holocaust, so you can't hold them responsible.
Right.
I don't, but they don't.
It's not. It has to be in the air every fucking step that you pad down the street.
I feel it.
I can imagine. I'm
as a Jewish person, yeah, but
I'm an Irish Catholic, and I'm like, wow. Like I can't imagine just looking around like, whoa, this is fucking weird.
It is, but
look how old that building is. They probably built that. Oh, never mind.
But these are the young people you can't hold responsible for, the sins of the father. But I mean, when I was saying that, I was, I was being light and I was kidding. But really, when you go out to eat. Nobody looks at their phones the whole time, and they don't laugh like we do. They're not loud. They look like they're deep in a philosophical discussion with each other, and we're the loud Americans over here having a good time, and they hate us. So it's a totally different culture.
At the end of the show, though, did they like applaud politely?
No, they were. It took me yelling at them.
Revenge is a dish best served cold.
Yeah.
Then we're going to send a Jew over to yell at everybody.
Yeah.
And then that'll really stick in their craw.
And I tried to open a casino, like the Indians. Norm could have delivered that better.
It's a good joke.
Yeah. No, I play a character on Teen Wolf that's this crazy guy that just yells about everything. I'm the only character on the show that isn't supernatural and knows nothing about the supernatural. And so I'm just this crazy Mr. Magoo guy, and I have this license to yell. And I was yelling at the audiences, telling them that, they have no sense of humor, they don't get it. And by the end, everybody sort of got this, what irony was and all that sort of stuff. And they were into it and laughing. I don't get it because they watch our TV shows, so I'm not too sure why. I think they show emotion differently than we do.
Audiences are weird. So it takes a long time in comedy to not go, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Like, what is happening? Why aren't you laughing?
I did this last night.
Yeah. And when I've had shows where they don't laugh to like the entire hour, and then
I don't believe that.
You actually they don't laugh the way they're supposed to be laughing the entire hour.
And
then you get a standing ovation, and you go, "Oh, they were just like watching a show."
Yes.
Never yell at an audience for having a good time.
No, I had a guy once this was at Gotham in New York City, who wasn't laughing the whole time. I wanted to scream out. He was actually bothering me with his arms crossed, and
we see it all every night.
And it was actually at the point where I was like, "Why don't you just leave?" I wanted to say that, but I didn't. I looked over him as much as I could.
Fast forward.
Bought 15 DVDs at the end of the show.
Yeah, guy, that's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
It's like some people just watch a show, and they straight face you because, like you said, it's like they're at a Broadway play. You're not just going to stand up in the middle of Sweeney Todd and go, "Yeah, he's got his arm back."
How good are we, by the way? Fast forward. I was right on it.
You're good, man.
Finished the story. I buttoned up the story like that.
Were you performing in January?
Oh, I don't even.
Where would people know?
Listen, this is how you know you've made it. I'll be in Jacksonville New Year's Eve.
Jacksonville,
Florida.
That's right by St. Augustine.
Yeah, I'll be right. Sure.
That's where this country started, man.
Yeah, I'll be there. Is that where it started?
St. Augustine, I think, is like the first settlement.
See, I was always told there was colonial Lexington where I grew up.
Oh, no, St. Augustine blows. That was fucking like Vasco da Gama shit and Americano Vespucci.
Huh.
But what are you doing? Where in Jacksonville are you performing on New Year's Eve?
The Comedy Club of Jacksonville.
You don't know the name of it?
I got to be honest with you. I haven't looked at I'm doing...
Okay, but it's New Year's Eve, and you're getting double your salary because it's New Year's Eve. You probably go, I'm going on a podcast. I should promote.
It's the Jacksonville Comedy Club. It's a Comedy Club of Jacksonville.
Yeah, but what if there's 3 of them?
It's on my website. Everything's on my website.
And the name of the website?
It's my name, OrnyAdams.
.com. Gov.
No, I got .com. I want to tell you something quickly because it's a good way to sort of...
Hey, Jacksonville, Northern Florida, New Year's Eve. Go get hammered, go see Orny, and you'll have a good time. Trust me. I saw it with my own eyes.
I wish I knew where else I was. I can look at my little calendar. I mean, if we're going to do plugs. But I want to... Oh, yeah. So where am I?
Jacksonville Comedy.
And then where... wait. Oh, and I'm going... Hey, that's a good one. Where am I? Minnesota?
It is called Jacksonville Comedy Club.
Scroll down. Where else am I?
And...
I'm in the Minnesota.
Hey, who's the barber here, man?
That's
Hold on a second. Let me help you out with this. Bloomington, Minnesota, you're going to be at House of Comedy January 7th, January 8th, and January 9th, and January 10th. Now, where's that? Carlsbad? That's a little north of here. January 17th, Carlsbad Theater. And now, I have a huge Louisville following, and I'm not joking.
Great.
So let's keep it tight. January 22nd, 23rd, Louisville, Kentucky, at the Laughing Derby. Go see Orny Adams, and all his dates are up at ornyadams.com.
And then I'm in Indianapolis.
Don't do a goddamn roll call. Jesus Christ, let me get some in, prick. February. American Comedy Company in San Diego. I'll be down there. But
I have
don't
a
even know.
huge. I'm going to tweet right now. I have a huge following, San Diego.
Let's get closer to the date before we do it. We'll just work together. And any comic that wants us to retweet dates, fucking hit us up, for crying out loud. Orny Adams, Jacksonville. This is fun. You said you wanted to say something
Yeah.
real quick?
So when you said that you thought I never liked you, that's like
That's strong. That's strong language.
Well, it's my own insecurity. So the other day,
You look like a guy that just got done saying, man, fuck him.
yeah, I'm telling you,
That's the way you look.
I'm telling you, when people say, well, what's it going to take for you to get to the next level? There is no next level for me. This is it. I've peaked because I just don't have. There are certain people I meet with that are very successful. They have a monicum, if that's the word, of talent. But they're so successful because they make everybody feel good. I walk into a room and there are thunderclouds that appear. I'm just not a warm. I don't.
People that are hugely successful, like James Woods, makes everybody feel bad.
I gotta get his agent because you gotta go. If you think James made people feel bad,
It has an expiration date, I believe.
yeah.
You know, when you
I'm
make people
not.
bad
I'm not
about
an
it.
asshole. I'm just saying that like
You have a vibe about you.
I have a vibe. So it's all my own insecurity, thinking, well, Jay doesn't want to say hi to me, the guy from Jerry Maguire. So the other day, I'm out shopping, and a African-American guy with 2 kids.
He looked black, though, I bet.
He did look black to me, but more African-American than black. And he sort of gave me the nod, and I go, oh, I don't know how we know. Teen Wolf guy, right? So then I go, I think he was trying to say hi, and I sort of shut it down. Like I felt bad. And I turned around, and he's now going up the escalator, and he said, Orny. I go, hey, man, how you doing? And he goes, I'm good. Everything's good. He goes, I go, is this your family? He goes, yeah. I go, well, beautiful kids. And he goes, thanks. And he goes, well, it's good to see you. And I go, well, she could care less, pointing at his daughter because she was looking away. And he laughed. And then it hit me as I turned to my friend. She goes, do you know who that was? And I go, was that Kevin Hart? And she goes, yeah. And I go, I don't think I've ever met him before. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but comics, we all it's a brotherhood. You just kind of know each other.
But I would never have gone up to Kevin and been like, hey, Kevin, how you doing? Because I would have thought, oh, he thinks.
Then you heckled his daughter.
He thinks. I wouldn't have done that either if I knew it was Kevin. But it was ballsy.
Well, she's not having a good time.
The kid hates me.
Well, she's 8. You're kind of not her wheelhouse because you're not so raven.
But what I'm trying to say is that I am now a huge Kevin Hart fan. Because not only he went out of his way to say hello to me, and he meant it, and he was respectful, and he wasn't like there were other people.
And he knew his place.
No, he didn't know his place.
Wait
now.
Sorry, we went back in time for a second.
He didn't make it abundantly clear that I was lower than him in the entertainment.
Well, what comics do?
Oh my God! I'll have to come back.
All right,
I mean, there's a lot of comedians that let me know. And not just comedians, rather actors. There's Is
that one right there?
I'll tell you off the air what.
You just tell me yes or no on that. But you don't say the name.
We've never gotten along.
Right.
We've never.
You're not alone.
But I'm saying people.
I've always, anytime I've ever seen a comedian in my life, it's always whether I know them or not. Like when I met Bob Newhart, it was like, hey man, like I don't know, it's just comics. Like I feel, if I want to dive deeper into it, because I never have, but since you brought it up, like if they did pull shit, like, well, I would be profoundly affected and pissed off.
Well, I feel it a lot in this town. I used to hang out with a lot of, comics at somebody's house, and I really felt the pecking order. Really, but
that might just be the pecking order of the life that was in that house before you even showed up. Because I lived next door to like Dave Rath, Todd Glass, Doug Benson, and
I'm talking the highest level of comedy. I'm not talking guys.
I know you're talking about
that we came up with.
I know
you know who I'm talking.
Documentary type guys.
I don't know any
code.
But
I always thought there was a pecking order, and I was way out of the pecking order of these House of Great Comics. Brian Posehn lived in the house, but no, they were there 24/7 all the time, and I came by on like Tuesday and Sunday. So of course I'm the lowest guy in the poll because I have to be brought up to speed. But for a very long time, I thought like these guys kind of don't like me. It's not till they like Brian Posehn and Doug Benson are on my podcast and I'm on theirs where I'm like, oh, I envisioned this. I made all that shit up in my head.
Yeah.
the pecking order.
Yeah.
But you're saying
no,
that.
it's palpable. I believe because I can see who gets hot and who doesn't. But I did a show because we were talking about him before. Steve Martin hosted a show up at Just for Laughs. And
Steve Martin, please do my podcast. Jesus Christ, he's got to do it, right? Don't you think he would have fun?
I don't know why anybody wouldn't do it. To be honest with you,
all right. But I know I told you this off mic. My wife and I driving home from Las Vegas listened to Let's Get Small, and I was like, this fucking guy was so far ahead of anybody, and like jokes verbatim, like 8 jokes. I looked at my wife. I go, so and so says that exact sentence.
Yeah. Now, don't take this like, and I'm being 100% serious. I put this experience up with Jay every time I put on Calvin Klein boxers. I think of Jay Mohr. Whenever I travel outside of the country, I hear that Steve Martin line where he goes, "Those French have a different word for everything."
Right?
Yeah.
His fingerprints. He doesn't get enough credit as a stand-up. Like people, I used to always think like guy threw the arrow through the head, and like I hated King Tut. I still hate King Tut.
I
but
love
when you
King
go
Tut.
to the Cruel Shoes and you go to like Let's Get Small, you go, holy shit, this guy does not get enough credit. And at one point in the album, he goes, I am an erudite, I am sort of an intellectual, and the crowd laughs at him. And it's like, boy, did he fucking go a long, like it took a long time to bear that out. Like he really is.
Yeah.
Like he's a crazy art collector and like Emmy Award winning banjo guy.
Yeah.
Wow. And so NAACP award winner.
Yeah, no,
He was in the Butler. Lee Daniels, the Butler.
He's amazing.
Part I made up.
Yeah, but I didn't.
What's your Steve Martin?
Well, so we did a show together in Montreal.
You and Steve Martin?
Yeah.
See, I'm jealous. This is great.
Yeah, I'll show you off the air. I'll show you a picture of me and Steve on stage because I never. A lot of people stuck around to meet him, and I thought if he wants to meet me, he'll ask to meet. Like I don't. You know what I mean? I don't want to impose. It's that, again, it comes back to if I saw you prior to this experience, prior to you seeing me at the Melrose Improv, if I'd seen you out to eat, I would have probably said hey and not stopped, or maybe not even said hey, because I would have thought I'm bothering Jay. Jay thinks I'm looking for work. You know what I mean?
Like, you said that like a tell. Jay thinks I'm looking for work. War.
The comedian coming up to the table.
Do something illicit, Merlin.
Big black cock.
It's beautiful. And boogly. I feel compelled to say hi to any celebrity I've ever come into contact with.
Because you're recognizable.
No, because I feel like we're all in show business, and it's like.
Well, I'm not in show business.
You are in show business.
Barely.
You're
I'm
on
the
Teen
periphery.
Wolf.
It's let's not trivialize this great
all
show.
Right, we'll put show business in quotes.
Yes.
Okay? You're in show business.
Yes. I'm barely.
But you're a headlining comedian, and when you do a show with Steve Martin, I feel like you need to say hi and back and forth. Like he
probably thinks I'm an asshole. Now that I think about it, right? He's like, why didn't Orny Adams come up and say hello and pay respect?
I don't think he really thinks about it again because he's on to the next thing.
Yeah, you're right.
I
did say hi to Chevy Chase. We did a show together last summer in Montreal.
As a comedian? Great dresser.
What's that?
As a comedian? Great dresser.
Yeah. I said, I go, it's an honor to meet you. And he goes, it's an honor to meet you.
That's nice.
Yeah, but it wasn't an honor. He didn't know who I was.
Yeah, but he's being nice.
Yeah, I just said, no, I said, I mean it.
Who was it? Was it Dr. Phil? I hate to quote Dr. Phil said, who the fuck said, if you knew how little people actually thought about you, your head would explode.
Yeah. But I have a new policy.
Hey, did you ever see that episode of Dr. Phil? There was
seen that one?
Which one? Did you just watch it?
Oh.
Which one was on?
It was a husband and a wife, and they were having like a lot of marital conflict. But then Phil just sort of sorted it out with his his folksy homespun advice. Did you see that one?
No.
I didn't see that one. That's got to be a new one. The ones I see are never like that. Orny does not know what to make of you.
No, I get the joke. I'm just ashamed that I can't top it. It's a great. I love.
He said earlier when you were doing the Teen Wolf joke, he was just completely distracted because he didn't expect you to be that funny, or words to that effect.
I don't know what we can roll it back because I said it much better than that.
I said you're the best. No, well, like we saw Bette Midler in Las Vegas, and I'm like, we're going backstage, and my wife lives by the credo of never meet your heroes. And I'm like, fuck that. I'm going to see Bette Midler. That's the Rose.
Yeah.
And then we saw like Liza Minnelli, And on Broadway, they come up to you and like if they know you're in the house, they're like, "Would you like to come say hi to Liza?" And my wife's like, "No," and I'm like, "Yes, we would." And then like Liza, like it's like I want to say hi to everybody, like not because I think who I am, but it's all such a fucking con.
Yeah.
It's all make-believe and a joke. And, like, let's at least... You know, like, a black guy doesn't have to know another black guy to look across the street and give the, like, what's up? Like, we both know what this is like to be black. It's fucking off the charts crazy, right? That's how I feel about show business.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a black guy and you're a black guy.
No, I'm getting to this point, Jay. I'm starting to feel comfortable enough with myself. I had a policy last year in Montreal where I would initiate hellos and smiles, which was something I know it sounds crazy.
No, there's a lot of people like that, Orny.
Yeah, I'm very sort of like to myself and at times, but you know, it's something I've had to teach myself.
Well, look, I'll say this from looking at your show. You should continue to say hi to people because I think you'd be surprised with how happy people would be to tell you how they feel. Because I loved your stand-up. I really fucking loved your stand-up. Orny Adams at OrnyAdams.com.
Thanks,
or excuse me, OrnyAdams.com at Orny Adams.
At Orny Adams is like the Twitter and Instagram and
Jay Mohr Sports.
Tumblr. Are you on Tumblr?
I had a Tumblr for the podcast, but whoever was recording the podcast, like they just never kept up the Tumblr page, so it was always like 2 months behind. But you can see misformed faces. Me and Anthony Jeselnik were talking about face transplant people. He was talking about jokes that got cut out in tickets.
Yeah,
comedy club owners don't give a shit if other comics like you.
Well, that's not true. The comedians can push you forward. They can put you on their shows. They can drop your names. They can get you work at other, clubs. I've been banned by comedians at clubs. I mean, it's like, it's pretty shitty. But you're confident.
That's the loudest garbage can we've ever had, by the way. In 3 years of doing a podcast, that sounds like they're rolling up my driveway.
I'm thinking, at what point do they shut the door to the
No,
garage?
it doesn't get shut.
Yeah. We fight through it.
We're talking about, and then I'll tell you about the weirdest ambient noise story from the podcast that ever happened.
But I liked you're a guy that when I saw you in Jerry Maguire, I just had such respect for you, that character, and that's the Jay I first met in the back of the Laugh Factory. Was this guy who was hugely confident, and I liked it because it's you. Are you supposed to sit there with fake humility? It was you. So when you said some really kind words to me when I walked off stage at the Improv, that when you said it to me, I was like, well, what does? I think he was talking about my set. I don't know if he was talking about my. You know what I mean? Like.
Well, I was pretty direct. Let me sit closer so we get this on the YouTube channel. You killed, and I just told you like it was amazing. Like look, there's killing, and then there's like other level. Like if that set had been on like Letterman, they'd go back to development deals. It was one of the craziest sets I'd ever seen, and it was 20 minutes. And it was a charity, and it was like Jewish doctors, and like it was kind of weird. People trying to hook up in the back. It was like the weirdest mishmash audience of all time.
And all men. It was all men.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that until I was. How about this? I didn't realize the audience until I was on stage because Fitzsimmons and you back to back. I was like having the best time. It's like, how rare is it that a comic sits in the back and actually like go like you're at a show? Like, that's how much fun I had. It was good.
Yeah, that's why when you said that to me, it was so loaded. I was like, wow, that's really cool because you're a guy who I've always admired, and I know you wouldn't give it up unless you really meant.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game tape.
Donuts.
If you wanna battle, it's either that you will or you won't.
You're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Hey, man.
More Stories podcast. Orny Adams, the man who I actually didn't have a hard time following, could not follow you at the Melrose Improv 1 month ago, almost to the day. Do you remember that benefit for the Jewish, like, what was it? What was the actual benefit?
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
I don't. But
you really don't know what it was for?
No, I don't.
It was Jewish, basically for like Jewish elderly, giving them like care clothing and like making sure they're not like shut in and or injured.
Right, it was a great cause.
The Guardians.
Yeah.
And Greg Fitzsimmons went up. Flip Schultz emceed. I came in right when Fitzsimmons like was 5 minutes in, and he like annihilated. And then I was like, wow, I haven't seen Greg do stand-up in so long. And then you went on, and I've seen you do like 3 minutes 18 years ago. And then you went on and killed so hard that you got a standing ovation. Then Flip went back up, and right when you walked off stage, everybody walked off stage to go to like the bathroom, like, woof, like, man, that shit was crazy. Like, let's go outside for a second. And then when I got introduced, there wasn't any applause. Like it was just like the show. It was like an overtime.
They're
like
racist.
It was just like
it's racism.
Are you Jewish?
Yeah, I am Jewish. So it's not fair.
Well, Fitzsimmons, they would have booed off the stage. He's as Catholic as they come.
With the shaved head.
Yeah, and like I mean, and it was weird because like you and Greg both did like relationship kids. Greg did a lot of like his wife and how he loves his wife and like kids making him nuts, and that's like my wheelhouse. And he killed so hard, I had to take that off the plate. And then you were doing like relationship stuff. And then I realized, like, well, I should just like spin plates because everything's been covered. Like,
you did great.
No, I did not.
No, I watched it.
Trust me, it was you. I'm
going to tell you.
Take the compliment. I could not. It was crazy how hard you killed. Or at Orny Adams. Is there an E in Orny?
No.
ORNY Adams on Twitter at Orny Adams. It was and the closing bit with the goddamn Christmas tree lights.
Yeah.
Fucking like I was going this, and you like acted out, and half the time you're not even speaking into the mic, like you're just holding the mic at your side because like you're either you've been doing it long enough. It's that faux passion, like I'm so fucking into this, I don't even know I'm not holding the mic next to my mouth, and it was crazy how hard you killed. And then I went up, didn't even applaud. Like when I got to the step of the stage, it was quiet, and I went right into like, I'm not Jewish, but you were there. Like I talked about getting circumcised. That's when I tapped out.
I missed the first minute or two, but I walked in. You were doing great. You really were.
Comparatively, it was night and day, and it was amazing. And I always say in stand-up and in acting, but mostly in stand-up, it's nice to know when you're being lapped on the racetrack. And that was one of those nights where I'm like, you should have a little more in your arsenal. Because this is, and then like I'm like, what am I going to do? Tracy Morgan for Jewish doctors?
It's so weird because I don't know how to take a compliment because I feel so beaten down by this business. So it's I thank you. That does mean a lot to me.
Why do you feel so beaten down? Like you've had specials. You've had 2 specials, right? Mm-hmm. Path of Most Resistance.
Yeah. Definitely not the least.
And is that your own doing? Are you a guy like? Do you think you get in your own way? And I don't know the answer to this. I'm really asking you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what is it? Where does that all come from? Are you a self-saboteur?
No, I'm not a self-saboteur. It's more I'm unaware and definitely socially awkward. Like I'm just not. The reason I don't hang out with comics a lot is it's a fear that I'm going to say the wrong thing and that I don't fit. I've never fit in. So, my idol is like Bob Dylan, and here's a guy who sort of just did his thing and was to himself and was able to say what he wanted to say and create this persona, which is what I wanted to do, and he got away with it. I didn't get away with it, and really overly confident to a point that probably if I were an outsider looking at me, I wouldn't have liked myself. So
you're overly confident.
At that years ago.
Well, because that comes up on this podcast all the time. Because I'm always super confident, alpha male, and I don't wake up like going, I fucking suck like most comics. And my wife always says I'm an actor who figured out how to do comedy, and I always figure
the best part of this podcast, by the way, is that you can hear people rolling their trash out.
People dig it. You want to hear
next door?
You want to hear the best version?
Those are the old jokes.
My wife just said those are the old jokes being rolled out.
It's not going to keep going.
We did it in the once I did a psychic medium in the green room, and then we'll get back to because I think we're the only 2 comics that are confident.
Is that what you think?
Yeah, and people don't like you when you're confident.
No,
There's
they don't.
Something about that confidence that makes people just inherently think you're a dick. And I've lived with it my whole life.
I've always liked your confidence. I've always liked the guy.
I never liked yours. You always rubbed me the wrong way.
I can see that.
I'm kidding. I had to go the other way.
I've always liked the guy that points to right field and then knocks it out of the park. I always admired Muhammad Ali. What I didn't realize in this business is you need the support of the community. You need the support of other comedians. You need the support of the audience and people that really genuinely like you. And I think that I have the capacity to rub people the wrong way. Now,
you put, real quick, you put the audience and the comedians in the same community. You said you need the support of the community. You need the support of the comics. You need the support of the audience. So do you really need the support of both? Because only one of those are
meant it. And so I was like, it was mind-blowing. Like, wow.
Wow, thank you very much. I'm a firm believer of positive reinforcement, and I don't, like, no one's ever said a negative thing about a comic on this podcast, and I won't. I just won't let it fly. I hate it. And it goes on another podcast where they go round and round, and they throw people under the bus, and this guy gets accused of that and this shit, and it's just like, why don't comics retweet each other's dates? We're never in the same town, ever.
Well, I saw your tweet today, by the way, so thank you. It meant a lot to me.
Retweeting your dates at...
No, you didn't know what you were...
I don't know what you're talking
Do you run your Twitter?
Yeah.
Somebody asked you about...
Orny Adams.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I did a Q&A before work, and they said, who's the comedian that makes... Wow, you were attentive.
I live on Twitter. It's my...
They said, which comedian makes you laugh the hardest right now? And I said, at Orny Adams. That's the last set I saw where I went like... Before that, I would have said Brian Regan. Like, it's so rare. But people also don't realize, like, when you're a comic, when you're a headliner... You don't ever see comedy because you are the show,
right?
As the song goes by "I'm the Show" by Kings of Leon, McFearless. We'll put that on the end. But you are the show, so you're never really watching another show of this. Like the Black Crowes are never sitting in the back of the room watching Arcade Fire or vice versa.
Right.
So no, I dug it, and yeah, somebody asked me on Twitter who makes me the laugh last, like a comic that made me laugh the hardest, and it was you. Jim Brewer's made me laugh the longest over the long haul. Like, it's like by a fucking country mile.
Yeah.
Not even close. In the weirdest ways. He lived on my couch for, like, when he came to L.A. But going back to what we were talking about, your set was crazy, great, and it was amazing. And it was thrilling to go like, wow, this is perfectly great. It's good. Comedy's fine. Because there's a lot of people out there that they become famous because the New York Times like follows them around Brooklyn for 2 weeks, and they tell you like, keep your eyes open, or like Vanity Fair, watch out for Tina Fey. She's on. You're like, Tina Fey? Like, where the fuck are you, Vanity? Like, really?
Yeah.
First of all, not a stand-up. Nothing against Tina Fey, but when they do those like.